come here, come here. I really want to talk to you about something today. I want to talk to you about the difference between wearing a mask and having a boundary. Do you know the difference? Like, I think it's really hard for some people to recognize when they're pretending or dulling who they are versus having a boundary and protecting who they are. So let's just talk about wearing a mask as in a personality or pretending to be something other than you are. So if you're wearing a mask around, let's say, work, let's talk about masks at work. There's a difference between having boundaries with people who are inappropriate or having boundaries between what is your responsibilities and someone else's, and wearing a mask at work. And when you wear a mask at work, you're probably not really being who you are. You're trying to fit in, right? Fit into a culture, fit into what your job responsibilities are. And it's like a part of you is insecure and you're recreating a childhood wound. Hi, I'm Holly Hughes. I'm an author, an intuitive healer. I have all the clairs. I'm an empath. And yes, I see dead people too. But I really love, and my mission here is to help people heal their heart so the pain from the past stops limiting their future. And another way of saying that is there might be a moment in time or moments in time where you were made to believe that you deserved less, that maybe you were too much, or that your wants and desires could not be met. And so you had to shrink to fit in. And it's in those moments I love to help people heal. Because when we heal those really sad and painful truths, your beliefs, then the whole world will change around you. It will. It might mean that you have to change who you interact with and what you do, but you're going to take yourself out of a trauma response, of trauma reenactment, and put yourself into a place where you are seen, recognized, and loved. I mean, it's totally worth the work. Okay, so masks and work. So this will be true especially of people who have empathic abilities, which means that you're a person who can read the room. You might, I like to say it like, have you ever walked into a room after someone's had a fight and you could kind of feel that tension, or you know when your friends are sad, or maybe you know when to call a friend, you both have been thinking about each other at the same time. You also, as an empath, probably don't like watching scary or horror or really brutal movies because they impact you, and it's probably hard to shake things off. I know, that was a lot. That was a lot to take in. But I'll go into that more in another video. So please like and follow, and we'll explore all those topics. I want to really get into, again, what the difference between is a mask and a boundary. So a mask might be, I'm going to go again to work because I think it's probably the easiest place to do this. You might work for a company whose culture doesn't let you wear outrageous or bright clothing, or maybe there are strict guidelines on etiquette. We'll just call it that. And so you have to maybe be appropriate at work, right? Being an adult and being appropriate at work is one thing. That's fine. That is adulting. That is respecting where you are and the job that you have to do. So wearing a mask would be not ever being able to be authentic in any way to who you are, which is very different than being appropriate at work. So a mask at work would be no one actually knows what you think or feel about anything because you are pretending to go along with everything. You are pretending that you are okay with situations. You are pretending and doing your best to get along with people who might be toxic around you, or a boss that's difficult, or a subordinate who is not living up to their potential or doing their work, right? So you put on a mask, you put on a smiley face, a happy face, Those depression commercials show it all the time, where like people with a paper mask in front of them just pretending that everything is okay. And I'm not advocating for you to just get up and leave your job, but I'm saying if you need a mask like that at work, you're not in a place where your talent, your thoughts, your abilities are going to be recognized. It's probably going to be nearly impossible to move up. You might find yourself being the victim of bullying in the office, or being excluded from things, or being given the tasks that those who aren't wearing a mask give you, right? So it's really important when you are interviewing or looking for a job that you can find a culture, an energy in the room is what I would call it, when you walk into the building that meets you where you are. Now, I'm not saying it's gonna meet you where you are on Saturday night, but I do want it to meet you where you are mentally, emotionally, physically, honestly, right? If you're gonna spend that much time in a room or online or working with people, it's really hard to deny who you are that many hours a day. And it can do real damage to you, like mentally, physically, and spiritually. Because when you are around people and wearing a mask, I bet you have high anxiety. I bet you your stomach's upset all the time. You might always like be looking over your shoulder, wondering what's going to come your way next, or what performance you're going to have to do. Think about all the energy it takes to pretend to be someone else, to pretend to be okay, to pretend to be all okay with all the shit that's going on. Now, here we go. A boundary is knowing your line. So if you're being honest who you are at work and someone is trying to cross the line, you can be able to say, no. No, I can't do that. No, that's not appropriate. Or there's one of my favorite ladies on TikTok who does like corporate speak, because I don't do corporate speak. And basically she gives advice on how to set boundaries at work with corporate language, which is, I don't recall that as being part of my task. In our next meeting, we could talk about the redistribution of work, something like that. So a boundary at work is what you will and will not tolerate because you know it's not right, but you are still who you are. Another example of a boundary at work would be keeping space between you and a person that your personalities aren't the best, that you can be professional with them, but you're not inviting them in to know you anymore, and that's perfectly acceptable. The difference is if you're wearing a mask, if you don't like someone, you might pretend to. You might pretend to go along with what they're doing and sit with them and then like have all that icky energy on you. One way to help you shift from wearing a mask, it's a super simple thing. You could take a salt bath at the end of the day, or you could bring salt scrub into the shower. It doesn't matter what kind it is, and mix it with your soap or on your washcloth or whatever. And then you can scrub the day off of you with the intention, I don't want this energy on me. I don't want to think about this anymore. I want this to be over and done with. And then see if you feel a difference. Another really interesting way or simple way for you to start understanding this concept would be give yourself a color. I love recommending giving people who are struggling to understand an emotional truth about themselves. I have them give other people colors. So someone you like in your office might be bright yellow, because that's so cheery and wonderful to work with. And the person you don't like might be mucky swamp brown. And then I want you to pay attention to how much yellow or brown is on you. And then if you have a color, or if you're just absorbing other people's colors to fit in and get along, or maybe energetically you're just absorbing other people's colors, and then you also need a boundary. You need to create a boundary because you can work somewhere and understand your responsibilities without feeling everyone else's stuff. Does that make sense? Right? As an empath, you're going to feel other people's emotions. But a boundary will let you recognize it without having to go through the whole process of internalizing it and then having to get it out of your body. So what do you think? Did you understand the difference between wearing a mask and having a boundary? If you have questions, leave them in the comments. Again, please like and follow. I will